Hey, my name is Taivo. I think the mic works now. I wanted to give you an overview of what I, as a young and probably naive engineer, see what the future could be like. It probably won't be, but we have to be ambitious in our goals. So my CV in one slide was mostly mentioned, but I think one key part was not mentioned, and you have to know about me. I'm 25 years old, which makes me young, apparently. And what I do at VERIFF is I build AI teams, and we're responsible for automating the core manual processes behind our product. And the reason we do that is otherwise we can't scale. So it's basically unnegotiable, or we have to do this. There's no other option. Do you want to feel old? I think this was a yes, the nervous laugh. So I have 3 logos here. From left to right, who knows what the product is on the left? Raise your hand if you know. And keep your hand up if you use it at least once a day. Okay, middle one. Who knows what it is? And who uses it at least once a day? Like 5 people? And on the right one, who knows what it is? Oh, very many people. You must have children. And who uses it at least once a day? 1 person. 2, cool. More than I expected. I expected it to be 0. So from left to right, it's Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok. Instagram, most of you know, it's a photo sharing app. Snapchat is a messaging app that focuses on photos and videos that disappear. And TikTok is, I can't confidently say I understand it myself, but, but basically it's a social video sharing app which focuses on lip dubs and short comedy videos. What's funny about this is that I think there's like micro-generations of people. So for me, Instagram is kind of a normal part of my friend circle's life. Snapchat, not really. And my younger brother, who is 6 years younger than me, a few years ago, he was like 16, I was 22. He was using Snapchat a lot, and I thought, like, I'll give it a try. I'm a technology-savvy person, right? And then I tried using it, and since none of my friends use it, it doesn't make sense. I can't use it. So I'm already too old to use Snapchat. This was the point at which I realized I'm not young anymore. And TikTok, it's much worse. My younger brother, who used to be like the person who introduces new technology to me, he doesn't use it either. So it's like a third micro-generation. So I'm like a technology grandfather. And, I don't know what you guys are feeling, but... Okay, so the trends that I think these apps show and what I see in general are going mobile only. So let's say 5 years ago, people were talking about building in a responsive way, so that anything you build, it also adapts to mobile screens. Then people talked about mobile first, which means you design for mobile, and then it should adapt to desktop. But now, all of these apps, Instagram, Snapchat, and TikTok, they're only on mobile. Instagram technically does have a desktop version, but it's very bad, and they don't put much effort into it. So the sort of my technology grandchildren's generation, they're not used to using a desktop computer anymore. For them, it's a foreign experience. And if we ask them, you have to vote on desktop, it's like us going into, or like for me, going into a physical polling booth and signing something on paper. It doesn't make sense to me. And for them, using a desktop computer is similar. And the second trend is going from recommendation engines or recommendations, which have been around for like 10, 15 years. They've been pretty standard. Amazon recommends you what to buy. Netflix recommends you what to watch. Going from that into deciding for the user. So if there's an axis from left to right, recommendation to decision, then Google Assistant on the left, they give you a story you might like. And this is a recommendation. You might like this story. Spotify, when they put together their weekly recommended playlist of songs you might like, it's also a recommendation, but you basically cannot control any of it. You can't say that I would like this to go more in like a house direction or jazz direction. They just give you the list, and you listen to it. That's basically the only choice you make. And with TikTok, the way the user experience works is a video starts playing, and you basically can skip it or go to the next video. And that's basically the whole choice you make in using the app or in consuming the videos. It's not like YouTube where you search for, American cars from 1980s and then look through a list of videos and pick one. It's more like you go roughly into a channel, let's say cars, and then you start being fed videos. So the algorithm kind of puts the timeline in place for you, and you can only move back and forth on it. And I think this is the direction we're moving in, is making decisions for the users. Another thing I wanted to cover is products that I think could very, very easily exist and that I could build probably within like one day if let's say the platform or the government APIs were open and easy to use. So I'd like to get notifications when someone accesses my data. I can see it in the e-Estonia portal right now, but maybe I would like to get an SMS if I'm very paranoid, or email, or WhatsApp text. If there's a construction permit issued within 200 meters of my house, then I'd like an email with the details. And this is an actual need. So I think 2 months ago, there was road work next to my house. It closed the garage door entrance and closed one of the main ways I get to work. So the way I found out about this was I left my home at some point and the road was closed. Even though I'm sure the documentation was there, the planning had been going on for months or at least weeks, and it would have been trivial to look up in the population registry who is registered there and notify them. Or if I want to, on the topic of staying more in touch with the local community, instead of going to the Tallinn's or whatever the local municipality is, their website and looking for updates, it could be automatically sent into my iPad or my Reader app or email, whatever. I shouldn't have to do work just to get something that could be very, very easily automated. Another class of products is local groups, and these exist all over Estonia. Saku Vald, Saku is where I'm from. There's a group of, I think, 5,000 to 10,000 people, and I don't think there's any official criterion for entering. Like, if you try to join, you will probably get in. But imagine this: we could do it completely automatically for this is a group for literally everyone in Tallinn because we have this information. Or we could do Põhja-Tallinn, which is a part of Tallinn. Or we could do Kopli, or we could do Professorite Küla, which is a very small part of Kopli. We could do even a single house or korteriühistu or a single apartment building could have its own group automatically without any extra effort because we have this information already. But how? I'm sure this is, if you're inspired by what I told you, what could be possible, then the question is how, or more likely the reaction is no. And I think the answer is in the logo or the setup for this event, the Digital Agenda for Estonia 2021 plus. This is what we're doing here today and roughly in these weeks. 2021, that's 2 years from now. And we're planning for starting 2 years from now for 10 years into the future. Also this week, I'm planning for my team, what are we going to do? Our cycle of planning is 1 quarter, and we probably have to replan some of the things at the end of, or midway through the quarter. I'm not saying this is so I'm not trying to say that everyone in the public sector should plan on a quarterly basis. I understand this is not possible, but it shows the constraints that you work under. So it is really, really, really difficult to quickly adapt to the trends I mentioned, because noticing them and then building something that addresses it could take you 4 years, and then the trend is kind of over, but there's a new trend. So this is where the naive part comes from. So what if we build an open platform? The government or the public sector only builds a data model, a database, and APIs. And it's kind of like Twilio or Stripe. They offer you APIs for taking payments, issuing cards, sending SMS, sending email, etc. But they don't build anything on top of it. Similarly, we could offer all APIs for any sort of interaction with citizens, it could be done via an API. And if we make it very, very easy, then I could build these products that I mentioned here in like 1 day. Or I wouldn't even need to build any of it myself, because you could use IFTTT, which is a platform where you can sort of, without writing any code, set up these sorts of notifications yourself. So I won't go into much detail about, how exactly to do this, but obviously because I don't know, but Twilio has an engineering department in Estonia, and this would be a very good place to hire someone from. Third part, or one missing piece is, let's say government builds let's say the infrastructure or the data platform for all apps. Who builds the UI, or who builds the actual apps that people interface with? This is where I'm getting even more naive and crazy. What if, instead of public tenders, where we basically pay a company or order from a company this specific app, what if we pay for the subscription for this service? So let's say that the Estonian government or the parliament decides that video on-demand service should be paid for, should be compensated. This is something we want our citizens to have. Then we wouldn't build the service ourselves. We would just pay for the service that the user decides to use. If they use Netflix, we'll pay for Netflix. If they use whatever Telia is offering, we will pay for that, maybe with some upper limit. And this would incentivize the companies to first build out the UI layer, but second, they would maintain it, and they would be motivated to keep it good. Otherwise, users leave, and they lose their recurring revenue. I think that was crazy enough. So if you want to go get crazier with me, then here's my email. Thank you very much.